Sound Like Us podcast, where we get the bedroom rock stars out of the bedroom and out into the world to hopefully get them the recognition they deserve. During the interview, we get to know an artist by asking about how important music is to them, from how their early lives shaped the musician they became, and their first taste of live music to their first foray into writing and producing and what they have planned for the future. Please like, follow, share, subscribe in all the usual places: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Instagram and YouTube. Big thank you to everyone that's done so already. Please spread the word far and wide to your friends and family, and even that annoying prick you sit next to at work. If you like the podcast, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use. This helps give the algorithm a big old slap on the chops and gets those musicians even more of the exposure they deserve. If you're a musician, singer-songwriter, rapper, producer, DJ, MC, or even, God forbid, a drummer, and you fancy joining me on the podcast, please don't hesitate to get in touch and we'll get you on. We are also proud to announce that we've partnered up with our mates at East London Recordings. East London Recordings is an independent record label run by independent artists for independent artists. East London Recordings has grown into an influential label committed to helping artists realise their full potential. We will be working with East London Recordings by interviewing their artists on the podcast, giving them more exposure on their background, what inspires them, where they are performing, and what music they have coming out in the near future. There will be many more things to listen out and watch out for, so keep those eyes out and ears peeled. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Sound Like Us podcast and a warm South London welcome as ever to today's guest, indie pop singer-songwriter Kyle Boswell. Kyle, good morning. Welcome to Sound Like Us. How are you doing today, apart from all the wonderful snow you've got down your way?
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. A bit cold. It's a bit wet. I'd rather have shitloads of snow than just pissy rain like we always get.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
that as well.
Not doing too badly. It's my day off. I'm quite happy about that. Right. So let's start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a singer-songwriter originally from around Northampton. So the Midlands is kind of where I'm based, and I've got a very much indie rock background. I've been in indie rock bands from school, so very much influenced by the likes of like Arctic Monkeys, Fratellis, early noughties bands. You know, when the charts were literally just full of them, basically. So then when I've kind of came out as a solo artist, I've kind of took that indie inspiration into my music and tried to mix the genres a little bit.
So you sort of followed on with that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think it's been a different challenge trying to bring that kind of energy that kind of genre brings to the music when it's just you and a guitar. And I think that's where it's almost like a little bit of a multi-genre. Like I always describe myself as kind of singer-songwriter with indie infused sound, just to kind of mess it up a little bit.
Just to mix it up.
Yeah.
Right. So how did the music that your parents listened to influence you growing up?
I think my mum used to listen to everything, really. Like, so when I was really young, it was very much just what was in. Like, she was always looking for new bands. Like when she used to go to Glastonbury quite a lot, and she'd always be in the new bands tent. You know, she saw people like Pendulum in the new bands tent. You know, before anybody knew who they were. She'd spend even when I was like 14, 15 and started going into like playing gigs and that, she'd spend her evenings on MySpace looking for other new artists playing similar music and stuff like that to try and link us up and things like that. So I think, if anything, it gave me a big open mind of, you know, any kind of music can be interesting, even if it's not something that you might purposely turn on and listen to. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, which it always irates me when people have that kind of, they're like, oh, I don't listen to rap music, so it's all rubbish. It's like, well, no, you know, it just might not be your thing. And I hear that quite a lot, especially because my local bar is a rock bar, but a lot of the people in there listen to heavy rock, like metal, essentially. And you know, some of them do have that kind of thing. It's like, oh, where if it's not metal, it's rubbish. So
yeah.
And that's not a way to go. And especially as a musician yourself, that you need to be open to be able to create something different.
Yeah. Music is, you know, it's wrong to shut yourself off to different kinds of music. Like, you know, you might say classical music's not very good, or hip hop, whatever. But you'll learn something, even if it's not something you like. You'll always learn. You never lose.
And like my mum's favourite artist of all time was actually Bon Jovi, so very much hair metal.
Yeah.
walked him around Europe essentially when she was 17. But
Yeah.
then obviously she'd be listening to, you know, the Oasis, the Enemy, Arctic Monkeys, things like that. But then you'd come into the house one afternoon and she'd have Dr. Dre on, you know, so it's a very,
Wow.
you know, it's a very big contrast. So I did get to hear literally everything growing up, which was great.
I bet you were thinking, like, make your mind up, mum.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I wish my mum and dad were that varied. My dad was into country. My mum was, I can't even remember what stuff she listened to, like Richard Clayton and crap like that.
Oh,
Um, ABBA. God. Right. So, can you share how your background and the places where you grew up sort of helped to shape you musically? Were there any particular things that happened that you remember?
yeah, I mean, I'd say a lot of my songs are very situational anyway, like lyric wise, they're very situational. Again, it kind of comes from having a massive influence from like Arctic Monkeys and things like that.
Yeah.
So if you like listen to the narrative of a lot of the songs that I release, you will be able to create in your mind that kind of vivid stories, and they're all around things that happen, things that I've seen, and things like stuff like that. It's that, you know, it's very few. I mean, it might be dramatized ever so slightly, you know, for entertainment purposes, but it's based. They're
Yeah.
usually all based around an actual situation that happened, and I think generally goes around kind of that small town UK vibes. You know, going out
Yeah.
to,
Okay.
to bars and everybody knowing each other and things like that.
Okay. So that all kind of bleeds into it,
I
into the
think so.
music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So your music is a reflection of your Tocestrian. Is that correct? Have I
Yeah,
pronounced that
yeah.
right?
Yeah, town in Northampton called Toaster.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a race course, so anybody who follows race horses will know it.
Okay.
It's right next to Silverstone, basically.
Good at cooking bread as well.
Yeah.
Boom boom. Right. So your music is a reflection of your Tocestrian roots. So tell us what that kind of means.
Yeah, I mean, I think again it's kinda like small town, everybody knows each other, you know,
Mm,
and again, it's kind of those situations that happen in bars and stuff like that, you know, where, you know, I try and bring the situations through in my lyrics, and anybody who's kind of
mm,
experienced that, as they hear those lyrics and those stories kind of begin to the narrative begins kind of thing, the idea is that they'll go, "Yeah, actually," you know, they'll be able to feel that themselves and think, "Oh, yeah, I kinda get that, and
mm.
I've had that as well." And people
Yeah.
who maybe aren't from that kind of those kind of towns, people from maybe big cities and that, they'll maybe see that it's quite, you know, just kind of see a little insight into that kind of smaller town, growing up in a smaller town rather than a huge dynamic city where you go out somewhere and you don't know anybody wherever you go,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Because like somewhere like London, you can go out and play, and it's almost like a blank canvas every night. But I suppose a small town like where you are, there's people you know, people you've got history with, and all that kind of thing. People you work with, and
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
is there a specific piece of music that sort of takes you back to a certain time or place that brings back kind of memories for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one. It actually came on yesterday when I was in the car. It
Yeah.
makes this question actually really good actually. So it's Fate Tales of San Francisco from Arctic
Oh, I
Monkeys'
love that
album.
song.
Yeah, yeah, so do I. It was one of the first covers that my first proper band played when I
Hmm.
was like 15, 16. And it was always kind of like our showstopper. It was before we started writing our own music as well, so we just did covers. And that one was it was always just a brilliant. We really enjoyed playing it. It went down really well. And we got one of the comments one like after we finished playing it, a guy came over to us at a gig in I think it was in Northampton somewhere. It was a long time ago, so I can't remember. But he came over to us and kind of said that he went, "There's only one band that plays Arctic Monkeys better than you guys, and it's the Arctic Monkeys." And that kind of just it kind of sat with us really well, and that kind of obviously pushed us more, and then we started writing our own music and things like that, and it kind
Yeah.
of yeah.
I can imagine if someone said that, you'd be like, boom.
Yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
mean, it's always in the back of my head though, so I can't really enjoy an Arctic Monkeys tribute act anymore because I kind of think,
Nah.
you know, yeah, they
They're
might be
better than
really
you.
good, but could I do that a little bit better? But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a great song, and that's a great memory to have, especially when people say that you're, you know, the next best thing from the band
Yeah,
themselves.
try. I've done like little acoustic videos of me playing it before. It's not quite got the same as having a full band, but it's kind of just a little bit of
No,
nostalgia there as well.
yeah, I'll check him out. Right, talking of Arctic Monkeys and people like that, who would you say are your main influence?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Arctic Monkeys, as I've said. I think then going from, like I said, I've kind of mixed it into the singer-songwriter vibe. I always say Paolo Nutini is a big one
Oh
for
yeah,
me as well.
yeah,
Just because, again, he was very naughty, so that kind of era. But he's also, I think, because he tends to play with that full band, he's a little bit more than just a singer-songwriter.
yeah,
And then obviously more modern day, you kind of have to go Ed Sheeran because he's like the king of singer-songwriters as well. Yeah, it's all that combined really. And anyone really who has that soulful kind of sound along with, really narrative lyrics. So I think I'd say Paolo Nutini and Alex Turner are definitely
yeah, yeah,
the forefront
yeah.
there.
They're great. They're great. Definitely, I like artists like them that they've got a bit of an edge about them, about their lyrics and about their music. And I don't think Paolo Nutini gets enough recognition.
No, I don't either. Although he had I think it was a year or two now. He was set to play in O2 Birmingham. And at the
Mm,
time, I was on O2 on my phone, so I got priority. I was like, brilliant, because I've never seen him live. But even the
no.
priority tickets sold out in like 3 minutes or something, so I still didn't get to see him. I was really disappointed, but he's clearly got that fan base there still.
Yeah, he did bring out a really good song around that time. I think it's called Through the Echoes.
Yes, yeah.
Great song. Right. A random question for you that I didn't include in the set that I sent to you. So be ready. Right. If you could take any person to any gig in history by any artist, A, who would you take? B, what gig would it be? And C, why would you take that person to that gig?
Wow, yeah, that is a good one. I mean, I think we'll start with what gig it would be. So, are we talking like let's pick an artist, or do you want me to pick a specific gig that's happened?
Absolutely anything.
Okay. Well, it's not massively interesting because it's still possible. But I
Mm,
would have I'd love to see Foo Fighters. I've been told they're brilliant.
yeah.
And they don't tour very often in the UK anyway. I think in the
No.
last 10 years I think they've toured once, I think, in the UK. So that would be a gig I'd love to see because they've got track after track which is a brilliant song, and Dave Grohl's been involved in so much music-wise over the course of, the last 20 odd years and more.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would certainly be one. Even more so if this hypothetical gig was a stripped down, uh, more intimate one, like an acoustic session
Yeah.
in a 60 plus venue or something. Now, yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's what we want. The 60 plus
That'd be
venue.
good.
Yeah. And then it'll probably be my partner, to be honest, because
Yeah.
yeah, that's who I go to gigs with usually.
Okay. Good,
So
good.
I'm sure she'd appreciate this hypothetical gig as well.
Good choice. So she's a Foo Fighters fan, I take it.
Yeah, among other. She's very much like me, got a
Yeah.
very broad
Okay.
amount of gigs
Important.
and music that she listens to. So Foo Fighters
Good.
would be something that she'd like to see, I think.
Great stuff. Right. What was the first piece of music that you ever wrote yourself?
So it was a song called It was called Biggest Mistake, and I was 15, I think. It's not in circulation now. It was with the bands that I was with in school. We were called the Shards. We did all right at the time. We did a couple of ticketed gigs around Coventry and stuff like that. Then I went to uni and we split up. But that song, Biggest Mistake, is similar to one of the tracks that I've got out on Spotify at the moment, called Fun Don't Come for Free, an older one. That Biggest Mistake kind of morphed into Fun Don't Come for Free. It's
Okay.
if you listen to both of them together, I mean, like I said, Biggest Mistake doesn't exist. It was never recorded or anything, so you can't listen to it. But if you did listen to them both next to each other, they're very, very similar
You'd see the similarities.
yeah, definitely. They say like similar chords. I mean, the lyrics to Fun Don't Come for Free, you can obviously tell that I wrote that further along. It wasn't like the first time I'd ever wrote lyrics kind of thing. And Biggest Mistake were kind of, you could probably tell that it was a young songwriter with his kind of first attempt, because it was kind of just,
Yeah.
it was more lyrics that they were put in because they fit not because I really wanted them in there and stuff like that. Whereas then, obviously, as I progressed down, writing more and stuff like that, obviously, then it was more me writing lyrics that I wanted to write rather than just putting them in just because it fit in the song kind of thing.
Yeah. So if people were to be able to listen to that song, would it be a case of being able to see your sort of natural progression as a musician and a
Yeah,
songwriter and
I think so. I think
lyricist?
from what I can remember of it, it's still quite. You can still, obviously, you still be able to hear my voice anyway because it's still me singing it.
Yeah.
Lyric wise as well, I think you could definitely see what I was trying to do at that point, even though I probably wasn't hitting the mark as much as I do now. So
Yeah.
I think it's would definitely be you'd be able to see that it was an early attempt of what I do now with music for sure. Yeah.
No. Good. So do you recall the first concert you ever went to?
Yes. S so
Sounds ominous.
this is, obviously a lot of, like, whenever you do interviews, they always ask this question, and I always kinda go, "Do you mean seeing a proper band or just in general?"
First ever live music experience, even
7,
if it's the most embarrassing thing ever.
S Club 7, when I was 10,
God,
I think.
that's my fault for that question.
Yeah, yeah, S Club 7, and then about 2 years later, it was, Robbie Williams at Nebworth when I was 12.
God. Okay.
Fair
Fair enough. That's
To be
fair
fair,
enough.
The Darkness supported Robbie Williams at Nebworth, so you could say The Darkness were the first band that I properly saw. Nobody knew who they were, but
Yeah, I'll let you off for the darkness.
yeah, nobody knew who they were at that point because they hadn't released anything, and the only
Yeah.
person I recall in the audience that actually knew who they were my mum because she'd heard them on my. There we go.
Your mum's like the new John Peel. She knows everything about up and coming music.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, these are brilliant." It's like, who are they? Some guy
Right.
in Queen.
Let's slightly reframe the question. What was the first concert you went to that you actually went to see the band properly or singer,
So
whatever?
it would have like timeline wise, I can't remember exactly which one came first, but it was the same year I went to Birmingham OT and saw Hard-Fi.
Oh, good band.
Yeah, very good band, very good live. But in the same year as well, I went to Godiva Festival in Coventry and saw
Hmm.
The Cribs, The Enemy, and Super Furry Animals. But I don't know which one
Okay.
came first.
Yeah.
So that was a good
I
year.
would have guessed the Enemy would have come first, maybe, because being a local band, up and coming.
Potentially, and they weren't headlining at that point because I don't think they'd released their album yet.
Yeah, I definitely think the Super Furry Animals would have been
Yes, there were.
maybe the big gig.
It was Cribs the Enemy and then Super Furry Animals at that because that was the because it was when Godiva Festival in Coventry was free as well.
Okay, cool.
It's about a fiver now. But yeah, that was
No, that's not bad.
a really good lineup because that was the first time I saw the Cribs as well, and I've seen them a few times since.
Yeah. Right. So you say on your bio that your lyrical style sets you apart. How important for you is it to have that lyrical identity in your music?
I think it's massively important. Just in general as well for me, like when I'm listening to other music, I always listen out for lyrics. And one of the biggest things that puts me off of listening to a song, firstly, is if you can't hear the lyrics at all, which
Yeah.
in some cases you get them tracks.
Mhm.
But also then if you can hear the lyrics and they just make absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Usually with songs like that, I will if I still quite, like the melody and stuff like that, I'll maybe do a little bit of Googling to see if maybe I've missed a metaphor or something like that. But then if I find out they are just complete general just nonsense, then I'm like, then,
Yeah.
it does really put me off. And that's why for me, I think it's, if you looking back at music, it initially, I mean, I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, it was there to tell a story. So,
Mm.
or as much as you want it there to, dance to or to help you emote or whatever you might use music for personally,
Yeah.
it's still for me, it's still there to tell some form of story. So that's
Yeah.
what I try and stick to.
Absolutely. Is it important that lyrical style in your music? It's important that it's there to make it more relatable and real to people listening.
I think so, yeah. And one of the things So I always say, like I said earlier in one of the other questions, you like the fact that if I'm writing a narrative in a song, people
Hmm.
can hear it and go, yeah, I've been there, I've kind of had that, and that's kind of
Mm,
relates to that, isn't it? It's that relatable part of
yeah.
music, like you hear it and think, yeah. Whereas if it's just chatting on about a spaceship or something like that, then you're not going to relate to that unless you're ET.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I've not been in a spaceship. I don't know what it's like, do I? I'm not
Exactly.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah. Well, Nicki Minaj apparently has.
Oh well, that explains a lot though. That does explain a lot. Right. Talking, you had a brief chat about your first experience of live music. What was the first live performance you ever did yourself?
Well, if we again, because like I started singing on like karaoke's and stuff when I was really young,
Mm,
we'll push that away. I think the first live performance I properly did, I'd say, where I was kind of identifying as a musician and not some kid on a karaoke, was probably I was 14. I'd had a guitar for 2 weeks, and I went to an open mic and played Green Day, "Time of Your Life," because it was the only song I knew how to play. So that was the first one properly where I really got a taste for
mm,
it.
okay. What about when the first one where you first actually set out to, it's a proper gig with your songs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, when first time I was playing my own songs, it would have been with that band, The Shards, and it wouldn't have been. We used to, because we did a lot of, because we started just playing covers as we were, a couple of teenagers. We started introducing songs that I'd written in the middle of sets and stuff. So it would have still been around 14, 15 in various bars where we'd have just played Chelsea Dagger and then go, right, this is one of our songs, and we'll whack that in, and
Yeah.
we had a good few, and then that kind of dragged us into doing nice little supported ticketed slots at proper gig venues where we would just play our own music and things like that. And that
Okay.
really, we did one at the Casbah in Coventry. It used to be called the Coliseum a while ago, and it was sold out. We were supporting a band called Just Morale, who well, they're not around anymore. They didn't stand the test of time, unfortunately. But it was sold out, and it was manic. And that was kind of the first real gig that it felt like you weren't just being tolerated almost, like, especially
Yeah.
because it, like, when you're in a bar and you're playing covers, it's great. And we had, before that, we had a lot of pub bar gigs, where you'd be playing Kings of Leon and people are singing along, and oh yeah, it's great, but it's not your song. So it's not
Yeah.
the same kind of thing. Whereas this one, we had, because it was in Coventry, we had friends from the Coventry area at it, and then we had a minibus come from Northampton with people who we knew from there as well. So the whole front row were people, like friends and family, who knew the songs, who was singing along to it. And then there was
Oh, that's
people,
good.
yeah, and there was people in there as well who just kind of heard us anyway, who we didn't know, who were also singing along. And it was just a brilliant experience. And that was kind of like the big one, really, that it kind of, it really cements that, say, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be playing to, hundreds of people singing your songs, not just someone else's song that you're singing well, and actually something that you've written that they relate to.
Okay. Cool. So would you probably say, looking back, that would be your best ever gig, best ever performance, or
Probably not. No, I mean, it's
no?
probably the
Mm,
earliest for certain as a band. There's always, I think, as now, because I kind of see myself now as a different artist than I was then, because then it was like kind of purely, I was an indie artist in a band rather than
hmm.
my own kind of persona. Whereas now it's kind of changed where it's me. I think it's kind of moved on a bit. Whereas I've had a few probably over the last 2 years, usually at a place called the Queen's Hall in Nuneaton, which is kind of like my local bar as well, but it's a proper gig venue, and they're always really good ones there. I tend to support a lady called Vicky Jackson quite a lot. She does a Pink tribute, but it always sells out. Even though obviously the fans are there to see a tribute act, they're really, really open to new music, to the point
That's good.
where, yeah, which is brilliant. Where the first time I did it, because I've supported for about 3 years running now. The first time I did it, I was really reluctant and like, yeah, but are they going to be bothered? You know, they're there to see the songs that they know and love from an artist they've probably followed for years.
Yeah.
Are they going to be
Yeah.
bothered about, you know, some guy singing his own music? But then they were really receptive to the point where then when I've came back the years after, I've got a group of fans who are going to that as well, not only to see Vicky play, but also to see me play because they've seen me play and they know the words to my songs. And then they're always brilliant gigs because they're busy as well, really busy. And this year, it was actually a couple of weeks ago. It was the first time I've supported her with my backing band as well. Not only that was a brilliant gig because not only was it still my own music, but it had the energy of what the Spotify tracks have as well, because obviously everything's released with a full band, even though I'm doing most of the gigs acoustically. So that was a really special gig, and it was really good, really energetic, and really, really well received as well.
Good, good, good. Right. Is there a particular favourite venue that stands out to you as a favourite place to perform?
Yeah, I think Queen's Hall, definitely in Nuneaton. If anybody local to that area hasn't been there for a gig, definitely check it out. But it's great. It's because it's capacity wise, it's big for an independent venue, but not too big. The sound's always brilliant as well, and as a performer, it's always really good. But even as audience member, because I've seen plenty of gigs there as well. It's just a great atmosphere. And they do have some really, really good artists there as well, up and coming, and you know, the bigger artists there as well.
Bigger artists. Good, good. Right. Another random question for you. Right. If you could save 5 albums by 5 different artists from a burning building, which 5 are you going to choose?
So I think we'd almost certainly have to go an Arctic Monkeys album.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be very generic to pick their first album, so I'm going to be a bit different and pick their second album, Favorite Worst Nightmares, purely because I think that you can hear their progression in that, the way they start to get a little bit more reverby. I'd say the best way of describing it, with songs like 505 and stuff like that. So that would definitely be one. I think was it 5? Did you say?
5, yeah.
5. Oh wow. Okay, so that actually makes it a little bit easier. Second album would be The View. Hats off to the Buskers. Because again, that was a fantastic album, and they're a fantastic artist. I've seen them several times, and when you can understand what they're saying, it's even better. Because they're very, very Scottish.
Yeah.
And then I think we'll go Pal and his Teenage Streets as well, because again, huge album. Richard Ashcroft. You know what? I can't remember what the name of the bloody album was now, which is really embarrassing.
Human Condition.
It's the one with it's the newer one that he did. It had Paint the Night with Colours and stuff like that on it.
Check it out.
Yeah. Because that is a brilliant album. And it's got into my rotation again recently.
So it was the latest one, yeah?
Yes. Actually, I think he brought a new one out, a recent more.
I know he did a reworked sort of acoustic album, didn't he?
Was that what that was?
Called? No, he brought one out called Loving You.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that one. Richard Ashcroft. Let me find out. Human Conditions. It was that.
It was Human Conditions.
It was Human Conditions. Yeah. So I've just seen what the singles of that one. That was a great album.
Yeah.
So that one's got to be there. And then I think as well, an album that I absolutely adored was Foals, Antidotes.
Okay.
Because Foals were a little bit of they're like a really, not guilty pleasure, but they kind of just appeared when I was like in sixth form kind of time, school sixth form, and I just love what they do with music. Also a very good band live as well. I think then that's 4, isn't it? So we've got one more. Who shall we go for? I'm gonna go with I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna
Club 7.
That's great. I tell you what, we'll go.
Let's come back to it.
Yeah.
If you want.
I'll come back round because I've got 2 running around in my head and I can't decide between.
All right, cool. All right, so what is your favourite all-time song of yours to perform live?
Perform live? Are we so original song-wise? It tends to change depending on my mood, but at the moment it's usually Hourglass, which people can hear on Spotify and stuff like that. Mainly because it's It was the first song I wrote as a solo artist,
Yeah.
so it just hits a bit differently. Before then, when I was writing music, I was always writing it with the intention that it was gonna get played with a band, which you kind of tend to have a different mindset. And even though whenever I'm writing a song, I like to try and make sure that regardless of whether it's intended to be acoustic or not, it should still be able to be played acoustic, because I think that kind of shows a good song. It shows depth in a song where if you need to, you can strip it back and just play it with an acoustic guitar. But that one was it was the first one that, I had that intention of wanting it to be played acoustic with it without heavy instrumentation anyway. So that one's always there, and it's really energetic as well, and it always goes down well. So I think that's still, and even though it's been a good few years since that one was written, that's still probably a big one. I've kind of changed in the last year or so. I used to always end on it, but then
Yeah.
I've started trying to move away from it just to mix things up a little bit. And obviously I've had a couple more tracks that have released that are probably more into people's memories now. So I'm trying to move away from ending on it every time. But it's still one of my favourites to play, definitely.
So it's a song that always gets a good reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
There's always a good vibe
Yeah.
when it comes
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Good,
definitely.
good. Right. So I've got to ask, how did you get on with East London Recordings and Fumes? What happened there?
Yeah, really good. To be fair, yeah, I get on with them quite well. I chat with them quite. They came to the gig that I did in Shoreditch.
Brilliant.
I can't remember. I feel like it was only like a couple of weeks ago, but I think it was further away than that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a gig in Shoreditch, and they popped in to see that. Especially with
Okay.
doing gigs in London when you're not from London, they can be a nightmare because obviously promoters are very much, how many tickets are you going to sell? How many tickets are you going to sell? Which is
Oh,
understandable, but when you're not from there, it's very difficult to do that.
yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very helpful. They've released the vinyl through them that's available as well, which is Hourglass Anniversary Edition, which is cool to have as well. I've actually got the master thing here. This wasn't set up, by the way. I didn't purposely have this next to me.
Nice. That is cool. That is cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got that as well. Yeah. So yeah, I can't fault them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's nice to have that little community as well.
Yeah. Who turned up to the gig? Was it Fumes?
Yes, and his.
Okay. Cool. That's cool. Right. So it kind of segues in quite nicely to the next question. What are your memories of recording?
Recording. It's usually long hours, but usually it's difficult to, I think, to describe recording wise. I mean, because the way I've done it recently as well, especially to try and get things around work and stuff like that. I've been
Yeah.
working with a friend of mine who's a producer who we've kind of just been doing like hour sessions every week to get stuff done and things like that because it's easier and easier to fit in rather than really real full sessions. So it's almost like it's not a real representation of proper recording sessions. Whereas I've got plans to do an album this year, and that's going to be with a different guy in Birmingham, but that's going to be a more, I'd say, authentic, because it's literally going to be 2 weeks straight, every day of getting that done. Um, it tends to be, you have to be careful with it, because I find that you might write a song and you've written it and you think, yeah, it's brilliant, I love this song, but then after you're recording it and you're listening to the same song and the same part of the song over and over and over again to try and make it perfect, and you start feeling yourself going, oh, I bloody hate this. I hate this song so
Yeah.
much. You're overplaying it to yourself. So you do have to be careful with that, because you don't want the song to be finished, and by the time it's finished you actually despise it. I've heard people say before that that's the sign that it's probably not a very good song. I disagree, because any song, if you overplay it, you're going to hate it. It's just how it works. I mean, Kings of Leon, I can think of it, Use Somebody. That was a brilliant song when it came out. I can't listen to it now because I've heard it 80,000 times
Billion
in the
times.
space of
Yeah.
probably 2 months. so I cannot stand that
Yeah.
song anymore. But that doesn't mean it's a bad song. Of course, it's not a bad song. It's a
No.
fantastic song.
True.
And the same thing goes to your own music when you're writing. I think it's also one of the best things about it is hearing a song really take shape, especially when you're working with a producer, which again, some people don't like doing because they like it all to be, just on them. But I've found that, it's still just on you. It's just getting that idea and getting that, second opinions and things like that. And, you know,
Yeah.
the producers as well, they'll think of things that a writer just won't think of
Mm.
in terms of sound and making
Yeah.
things sound good and stuff like that. And that is really interesting. Like, especially if you then go back and listen to like the rough guide track that usually you record at the start of a recording session, that which you work from essentially to build it up.
Yeah.
You listen to that really rough basic track of, usually with me, it's just me and a guitar. And then you listen to the final finished thing and you hear how it's came together and, the extra little parts in the background, stuff like that. And it's fantastic to kind of see how that's been created. It's how I imagine a chef must feel when they see, like, like they've got the raw ingredients and then you've got the picture of the final meal all dressed up on the plate. It's almost like that, which I think is probably quite a good
Yeah.
analogy for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that must be quite a pleasing experience. And I guess having a producer or engineer helps to have like a sort of like a third ear, so you can hear things from different perspectives.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that
Definitely.
can be quite important.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is, especially because, usually if you're recording a song, you've been writing it, and 9 times out of 10, you've probably written that song, a couple of months prior, and then worked on it and
Yeah.
played and stuff like that. So by the time you get it into the studio, you can be quite precious about it, and
Mm.
you've got the producer going, actually, can we change this? And maybe we should do this. And you do have to sometimes fight yourself, because sometimes, especially in my brain as well, I sometimes do have it where I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that. That's how how I've
Yeah.
decided to do it. But then you
Yeah.
kind of you have to give that way and go, kind of go, okay, we'll try it like that and see what it sounds like. And sometimes there has been times when the producer said something and I've gone, we'll try it, we'll see it. And we've tried it and I've gone, no, I don't like that. I don't like it. But then, 9 times out of 10 as well, it will be the other way around. And, you'll do it and you'll go, no, actually, that's really cool. That actually does sound really good and it really completes that part of the track.
Yeah. Cool. You you said previously that you work with different producers. Do you want to give them a bit of a shout out?
Yeah. So a lot of my music to date has been produced by a guy called Ross Tidmus.
Okay.
Locally to me, he's been in a lot of bands previously as well. But his bands were, I'd still say they were indie, but they had a lot of synth and stuff like that, which
Hmm.
I don't. But that kind of works very well because my mind doesn't work with synth. I don't know how to use synth. So having him there to kind of bring that in, was brilliant, especially with the more ambient tracks. Because a little bit of underlining synth or piano or something in the background can really bring them together, and that's, like I said, that's something that I'd never be able to really work with. Uh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now he's retiring from the music part of his life, so that's why I'm moving on to a different producer. Um, who, when the recording progress starts, I will reveal who that is on my Instagram and stuff like that.
Cool.
But it's going to be exciting. I think we've already had a couple of meetings to discuss like the album and the tracks and stuff like that. So it should be, yeah. And it was brilliant. Like, I found out that around where I live, finding producers and stuff is an absolute nightmare. Yeah, because if you Google it, you just get Ross. So I had to reach out to a few people who I've known for a couple of years, like, who were like, did sound for various venues around the Midlands, and got a couple of names. And the name that I did go for, I found that he actually already followed me on Instagram. So when I messaged him, I said, I don't know if we already met, maybe. I don't recall meeting you, but I might have met you years ago, and I don't know. And he messaged back and said, "No, we haven't." But he'd stumbled across one of my reels, and he liked the music, so he followed me. And I was like, "Well, that's a fantastic start to this conversation." Then, if that's how if you've already heard my music and I'm about to say, "Do you want to record an album and produce it for me?" It's a very,
Yeah,
very good way to start. So yeah, it's going to be good.
that's good. That's good. Right. Is there a track of yours that carries a deep personal meaning for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like I said, I think all of them to an extent, there's they're all based on kind of real things, or at least attempted to be based on something real. I think the way it's always been though is a little bit different because it's almost, even though I think lyrically it's still got that style that I try and stick to, where it's got that, you can, people will be able to relate to it, like with things like that, but it doesn't show a complete narrative like the other tracks. It's more personal because it's in relation to, like, I've written it about my partner. Basically, that's what it's about. And I've never really done that before up until that track where, I might have a few songs that have been loosely based around things around previous partners and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
never that specific. So that one definitely, it hits a little bit differently. And it's quite nice that that's my most successful track to date as well.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
yeah.
Can you think of a piece of music that made a big impact on you from when you were younger and you've carried it through up until now?
Yeah, I think like I've said before, I think a lot of the Arctic Monkeys ones always did because they paint a real picture.
Mm,
I think with my mum being obsessed with Bon Jovi, I think most of most of his music, especially his ballads, I think they're a really good example of a love song,
yeah,
which I've kind of took in. And even though I don't write in the same style as that because it's very, essentially it's cheesy 80s ballad, isn't it? And obviously I don't. That's not my style of writing, but I have kind of tried to, because I think they're really emotive. Like you can really feel the emotion in the lyrics and stuff like that when in songs like Always and Thank You and things like that. So I think I've kind of tried to carry that into, especially when I've wrote the way it's always been in any kind of songs like that. I've tried to take that kind of aspects of his songwriting in terms of ballads as well, just because I think that's important to get that through.
when you play live, what's the setup? Is it just yourself? Got a
So
band with you? Talk us through the band.
yeah, so it depends. So one of the good things about being a solo artist, but also having the backing band around if needed, is that it gives me that flexibility. So it very much depends on the gig and where it is, and who else is playing and things like that. Kind of the vibe of the gig, I always say. So it can be anything from just me and an acoustic guitar. Sometimes I'll have a loop pedal as well, just to bring it up a little bit, and then it can go from that to literally having the full band drums, bass, guitar with me as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay, cool.
it's very varied.
Cool. Do you want to give them a shout out? The people that play with you?
Yeah. So we've done a couple of gigs. So a guy called Connor who has been drumming for me, and a guy called Matt who's been doing the bass up till now. So it's brilliant to have them around to do those gigs. And yeah, I'm sure they'll be around in the next year coming as well for a few more.
Great stuff. And talking of which, are there any other sort of bands and artists you've enjoyed playing with, seen live in the local scenes, collaborating with in the studio maybe?
So collaborations is something that I have wanted to do, but I haven't had the chance yet. Annoyingly, because a lot of the like up and coming artists who I really talk to a lot, like through social media and stuff like that, they live nowhere near me. Most of them are London.
Yeah.
Um, so that,
Bloody London.
yeah, bloody London. You've got the best of both worlds in there.
Yeah.
I always enjoy watching and listening to Grace Carver. She's very good.
Yeah.
I think she's technically Suffolk, but to me that's London. But yeah,
No idea.
yeah, but yeah, she's very good. I've never seen her live in person purely again because of the areas around where we play. We've done a festival together, but we played different nights, so again missed
Okay.
each other. But yeah, so that would be nice. There's a couple of bands more locally as well that are very good. There was a band around last year called Candid. I haven't heard anything from them for a while, so I don't know if they've split up, which would be a massive shame. they supported the Enemy and the Fratellis. I think they supported as well at one point. So they were doing very well. So yeah, but I always do try and keep an eye open. But I have found like a lot of a lot of the bands locally to me anyway, that it tends to be leaning towards cover bands rather than like your original artist. There's a lot of singer-songwriter around, I think, and I think that that seems to be the more locality at the moment with me. But I'm always keeping my eyes open.
Good, good, good. Right. So, what does the future hold for you both in the short term and the long term?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, there is album plans this year. So that is a big undertaking, and I've done a lot of interviews and stuff in the last year or so when it's always asked. BBC introduced and have asked me about 40 times, I think. Whenever I speak to them, are you going to do an album? And my answer is always money.
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
biggest thing, especially as an independent artist. You know, money is always an issue. It's
Yeah.
very expensive, more expensive than people know to record music, and that's usually why anybody who's followed me will notice that I tend to have a couple of releases a year, but it's one song usually,
Hmm.
and I usually try and put like a live recording that I've never put out there as a B-side, because then I don't have to record it. It cuts costs, still gets a little bit more out there. But this year, as I said, I've put those album plans together. There is to try and help with the cost. I have put a GoFundMe thing together as well. So if anybody is
Okay.
online and
Good.
can donate something to that, please do. The links are on my Instagram. Even if it's like 3-4 quid, if enough people put 3-4 quid
Yeah.
to it, it will still all add up. And literally, even if it only made 100 200 quid, that's 100 200 quid less than what I've then got to try and find for it.
Yeah. True.
That's the big plan for this year. I'm also starting to, as of next month, I'm starting to work with a music management team as well, which I won't say who they are yet because it technically hasn't been finalized. So I don't want to jump the boat and say that, but it is happening.
Cool.
Which is,
Good. Good.
that's brilliant as well, just because, it kind of opens the world up a little bit. Like, even though obviously I've been doing this on my own for a long time, I kind of know what I'm doing in terms of booking gigs and stuff like that. But there's always kind of a limit that you get to. Firstly, you kind of run out of contacts, and you start finding that you're just doing all the same gigs over and over again, but you're not really getting any further. And that kind of, to get your music out there even more, then you start running lower and lower percentages, because you're basically hoping on, the very, 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 very unlikely chance that some guy who knows someone else might turn up to one of these gigs on a whim, which, you don't
Yeah.
really want to run those percentages. So this management team should help me kind of broaden those horizons.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
not only that as well, it kind of opens up my time a little bit, because again, as an independent artist, I spend probably 2 hours a night at least. Do it well. I always say, "Oh, I'm going to do some music things." In the idea that I'll do a bit of admin, and then I'll write and stuff like that. And then I find out that I notice that I've been typing away emails and stuff to festivals and promoters and stuff like that for over an hour
Yeah.
and a half, and I haven't actually picked up a guitar.
Yeah.
With this management, it kind of frees me up to actually do the music part of
Do your
music
stuff.
a little bit more, which again, as an independent, is always a challenge, because, with day jobs and things like that, you do have to try and get it, and you need time for yourself as well, else you're just going to burn out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally agree. So, talking about the album you've got coming up, how far along have you with the songs? Are they all written and stuff like that?
So I have. This is my very official piece of paper of planning. So song wise, I can give a few details about it. So there's going to be 13 tracks on it. Some of the tracks are going to be the stuff that I've been releasing over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
So things like The Way It's Always Been will be on there. Dance for Romance, Girl in the Red Lingerie, and a couple of the others. Then they'll all be remastered though, them ones still. Then we're going to be re-recording brand new versions of a couple of the songs released. So, for example, Hourglass, like I mentioned before, it's one of my favourites, but it was written a long time ago, and it was recorded a long time ago as well. And when it was released, I do that because it technically wasn't released. It was recorded, and I whacked it on Spotify. That was the release. It wasn't a proper one. So we're going to get that re-recorded, and so it'll be a brand new version of it to be on this album. And then there's going to be a handful of new songs on it as well. And so they're in the process of being written. I can say 3 of them are written, and then there's a couple more new ones still to go for there as well. But plenty of time, yeah, 'cause the actual recording, so we're going to be doing it May, because that kind of gives us the time there, because the idea is to, obviously, there's with the new songs as well, we've obviously got to get them all perfect in terms of how I want them. And then
Yeah,
we're going into
cool.
the studio and getting them all done. So we're probably, realistically, for the actual release of it, we'll release a couple of singles from it as well, but we're probably looking at around summer that
Okay,
the
cool.
fans can expect this. But during that time, that they'll be seeing lots of little snippets on Instagram and TikTok and things like that of, rehearsals and bits and bobs. So yeah, it's definitely something to look out for.
Great. Keep an eye out for that, people. Right, and that brings us to the end of the interview. Have you enjoyed being on?
Yes, yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I know. It feels like we've had it planned for ages, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
blooming Christmas got in the way.
yeah, it does that, doesn't it?
Yeah, children getting chicken pox. I've got 2 kids and they got chicken pox consecutively. It's like,
Oh dear, yeah. You don't.
blimey. So best laid plans completely went out the window.
Yeah, but yeah, we're here
Yeah,
now, and it's been brilliant to be part of it. Yeah, so
yeah.
thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. Right, so do you want to reiterate about to people what you've got coming up for the year, about the new album and
Yeah, so
other
look
things?
out for a brand new album around the summertime. But before then, you'll see lots of snippets on Instagram about bits and bobs of recording, writing it, and things like that.
Yeah,
Of course, as well, there were helps fund that as well. I've got a GoFundMe going. Please
okay.
do give anything you can, no matter how small, even if it's just the price of a beer. The link is on
Yeah,
my Instagram. That's at Kyle Boswell Music. It would be massively appreciated. I will be looking to give little rewards out for people who do give that as well. I'm just not allowed to officially put it on
right.
GoFundMe because apparently it doesn't let you. I didn't know that. You're not allowed to give
Bad people.
incentives apparently. So yeah, that's something. And of course, I'll be doing gigs all over the place over the course of the year as well. So please do go
Great.
on Instagram to see when and where they'll all be.
All right.
Yeah.
So talking of which, where can people reach you online?
Online, yes. So I've got all the usual platforms, but the best one I usually say is my Instagram. That's at Kyle Boswell Music. That's the one I'm most active on.
Yeah.
The one you'll see a lot on. I also have Facebook, which is at Kyle Boswell Music as well.
Okay, cool.
It's usually just the things that I post on my Instagram just a day later, but it's, again, depending on your preferred things. That's, I've got a TikTok as well. If you search for at Kyle Boswell Music, please give that a follow. There's a couple of videos on there that aren't on the others. And if you want to listen to my music as well, you can go to any of the streaming sites that people use. So Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, any and all. It's all on there to listen to and stream. So yeah,
Great stuff.
thank you.
Great stuff. And guys, please like, share, follow, and subscribe to the Sound Like Us podcast all over the internet, Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, YouTube Music, whatever. Also, Instagram, I'm quite active on there, and YouTube. There's loads of all these videos and interviews are getting put up there when I finally get time to do it. So thank you for following. And finally, to play us out today, it's Kyle Boswell. Would you like to introduce your track?
Yep. So this is my track that I think I've mentioned a couple of times actually. It's called The Way It's Always Been. Enjoy.
Enjoy it. Right. Kyle, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you for taking time out of your day because I know you're working today. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch up again maybe in the summer from when the album
Yeah, definitely.
comes out or something.
Yeah, definitely a plan. Yeah, thanks for having me again.
I really appreciate it. Take care. Have a great rest of your day and look forward to the album.
Will do. Thanks. See you later.
Cheers, man. Take care. Bye.
When you fall asleep, soon as the film begun, though you're adamant you'd stay awake for this one. You don't drink cups of tea, but you'll still make me one. I drag you to lots of gigs, you pretend to have fun. I can always be myself all the time. okay, 'cause I know they'll be there. You work twice as hard as I ever could. You're the one thing I need, more than I ever thought I would. I can always be myself all the time. When I'm with you, I know everything will be fine. It's like waking up from a dream, and that's the way it'll always be. First time we met, who knew what was in store? Close your eyes, make a wish, I bet there's more. It's like waking up in a dream, and that's the way it'll always be. We traveled the world and had the odd lazy day, a fight or two, but that's okay. We'll look to the future and I'll be holding your hands. We'll make it our own,